You let it fly pretty good on television. You wouldn't hold back at all. Did you ever see the blowback? Would it affect you? I know like other guys who might have been ripped online quite a bit, like a guy like Pierre Maguire, he said he didn't pay attention to it at all. Would it affect you?
No. I mean, early on, Ovi was not the player he became, right? I mean, Ovechkin he's a great player. He's a beast out there, but he wasn't doing the little things that you had to do in order to get to where you want to be as a good team member. And he didn't get that until Barry Trotz took him under his wing and made him a better player. And they went on to win a Stanley Cup together. But I used to rip on him for bad line changes and staying out for 3 or 4 minutes. And, that Ted Leonsis would call Gary Bettman. Gary Bettman would call Sam Flood. Sam Flood would call me. And I would say, well, was I right? Am I saying anything that you can't see on TV? And he said, no, he was usually pretty good. There were a couple of times I had to apologize. I think there was one time when Laviolette, I think, was about ready to tear into one of the Pittsburgh coaches, Dan Bilesma, but Bilesma wouldn't bite. Peter was up on the boards, and I said, Dan better take the skirt off and act like a man there. That didn't go over too well. I had to apologize for that. But I had 2 occasions where NBC hired bodyguards for me. The first one was
Nashville.
The first one was Vancouver.
You called the Sedin. They called them the Sedin sisters, maybe, or Thelma and Louise.
Thelma and Louise. I said the Bruins just have to stay tight to Thelma and Louise. I mean Henrik and Daniel. That required some. This guy was about 6'5" and he had to follow me everywhere until I left Vancouver. But I survived. And the other one was in Nashville. Crosby was getting checked by Subban in that series all over the place, right? He really being nasty with him. And once Crosby got on top of Subban in the quarter and gave him a couple little rabbit punches. And I said, you know what? PK Subban had that coming. Good for Crosby. So I went back to the hotel. And on the off day, I'm sitting in the hotel room and I get this call on the phone. Is this Mike Milbury? Yeah, it's Mike Milbury. We know where you're staying and we know what time you go to the rink and we're going to get you. Yeah. I mean, and that happened 3 or 4 times, So finally I called NBC and said, what do you want me to do about this? I mean, somebody's coming after me. I'm going to have to defend myself. And, so they hired a bodyguard to stay with me throughout my tour of Nashville and then took me outside the city once the series was over. So nobody knew where I was staying. But, so there was some serious blowback on a couple of occasions, but, NBC stood with me. They didn't really stand with me in the final blow, but that's a different story.